All right. Hello, RMR Training Podcast. My name is Rich Ryan, 1/3 of the team here, joined today by another third of the team, Ryan Kent. The two R's are here. What's up, dude?
What's up, Rich? How we
Not
doing
much.
this Monday morning?
Doing all right. We just work in Dallas. I'm still dealing with something. It's really hard to get sleep after these late races and with all the travel. And you can probably hear it in my voice a little bit that I'm just dealing with it. So Monday morning, we're kind of licking our wounds a little bit here. How about you?
I'm good, man. I had a great night of sleep last night. I told you I changed my flight. I was
Mhm.
originally supposed to fly back home last night at 8:30 and land at close to midnight.
Mhm.
And after the way that the race went, I changed my flight to get out of there sooner. And it's a good thing I did because that flight ended up getting delayed by like 2+ hours. So I would have landed at like 1 or 2 in the morning.
Were you
Sarah
like
would have had to come get me, and
were you
it
like
just would
looking
have
at
been
your
a
phone?
nightmare.
Like
Huh?
checking the were you like checking
It
the
was still well, it
results
was
of
still
the
giving me updates, like text
Oh,
messages and stuff.
I thought you were just trying to affirm your decision. You're like, nice, smart move on my end. That you got delayed.
You can do
Um,
that too.
all
But,
right.
yeah, we're back to it. I got up this morning and, did just like an easy 5 miles
Nice.
just to kinda wake the body back up a little bit and kinda ease my way back into training this week, so
I might take this week as down. So I took off yesterday and I'm considering taking off today. I don't know how much I want to do in terms
2
of
days in a row,
anything.
baby, let's go.
We're just going into some rest and
You need it. You
recovery.
had 2 race weekends. I've done half a HYROX.
Two half a HYROXes, a training half a HYROX and a
That's right.
race to half a HYROX.
That's right.
So we want to start. You want to start my race or your race?
Let's go with yours.
All right, we'll start with my race.
And I know a little bit about what happened, but not I've been avoiding social media. I
Did you put
haven't
the
even
blinders on? You were just like,
put the
I'm out.
blinders on, dude.
That's good.
So,
You're
let's
get
hear
out
it.
of
Let's
there.
hear it, dude.
Um, yeah, man. So going into the race, there we roomed. So I had mentioned, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, like, should I even run this thing? Is this a race I should even do? So I wasn't that jazzed up for this thing. A little bit because of just like how like quite a bit because of just like had some like sickness. And this wasn't like that excited. Like you and I, our approach into it, you could tell like this was your first one in a while. Like you were very excited, you were ready to rock. And then it was like you're like dialed in on all the pieces up front. And I was just like not feeling that way. The way I felt the week before where I was like really dialed in, I was just like, I don't think I can be like that again here. So
It's a
the
quick turnaround, man. It's hard to kinda get back into that mindset,
have you
a
done back
week after.
have you done back-to-back
Just
weekends?
just the, Chicago major last year and then doubles with Meg the
Which was
week after,
doubles, right, and that
but
was just,
which
like,
is
fun,
different. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, so this is the first time I've done a individual back-to-back, and physically, I felt fine. Have you had to do that for Spartan or anything before? I guess, like, what would you do for that mental piece to try to, like, to gear back up? Like, luckily, I didn't have to, but, like, say, like, in Chicago, if I would've run, whatever, 58 flat, and it's like, I need to run 57, or if I were in 57:30 or whatever, and this race really mattered and I needed to gear up, like, you have any like, what would you do?
Hopefully, you're just like you can race off of anger and just being pissed that you didn't
Yeah.
perform up to your standards or potential the week prior. Sometimes that motivates me,
Mhm.
is knowing you could have done better and you didn't, but it's like having the Thursday night football game. If you lost on Sunday, quick turnaround, get that taste out of your mouth. That's really the only way you can look at it.
And I think you could probably change strategy, right?
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
had that could be something
Right.
else like, okay, I did this and that was a mistake, or I could have done that. So maybe just like having to wrap your head around to do something a little bit differently than you had done previously could be a helpful tactic.
Because your fitness isn't going to change.
Almost not at
That's,
all.
yeah.
Like at all.
Yeah.
And like I didn't do much last week. I mean, my volume was very low. So it's been 2 weeks of pretty low stuff. But yeah, like that's also a thing too. It's like, yeah, your fitness hasn't changed. I knew there wasn't going to be anything dramatically different. But I did want to get a good effort in. You know, I was like, I haven't had a big
That's what you
workout.
said. You
I
said
was like,
that.
let's
Yeah.
just go do a workout. And like and it's nice to be able to practice the race day stuff, right? Like the breakfasts, like I felt like I was loaded up with carbs. I felt like I had energy. I was like, let's just kind of keep this rolling, have like a pre-race kind of ritual that is evolving and just trying to do that again and just seeing what works, what doesn't work. But like the locked in focus and the idea of like, I need to smash this thing wasn't really there. And it was just good vibes, man. People were just being really nice to me. And that was great. People were like, oh my God, what's up? I'm like, hi. Where they haven't been, not nice to me, but they were definitely nicer to me
There
at
were,
this
I mean,
race.
I was with you a few of those times. People came up and congratulated you on, running a 54 last week. And I just had to kind of stand there and be like, this fucking guy.
There was
I'm gonna let him know today.
there was a time it was in Houston when you ran that good race after Chicago. And we went and I ran a PR that day in Houston too. And then we went to Dubai for the Gov games and everyone's kissing your ass. And I'm like, what's how I ran good too, right? Did you guys see? So yeah, just going in, I just had like the same exact plan. I was just gonna keep it kind of chill early, try to hit the sleds hard, and
Where were you
then
at coming into the ski erg, in reference to where I was at?
I believe I was in fourth. Maybe I was in third. I wasn't as far. There was some time. I think it was like 8 seconds or so. But
That's a good
that's some.
amount.
That is some. It's a good chunk. I'll have to double check. Maybe not that much. Because yeah, and I got there and I was cruising. Maybe I was in third or fourth. I'm not sure if anyone else really snuck ahead of us going into it. Yeah, there was one other guy who was out a little hard. Yeah, I was 8 seconds back. There's a guy who was 4 seconds, and then Nick Bear was right behind me at that point. So we came in there together.
Nice.
I think, or I must have made a pass on this dude into. I don't know. We ended up like not next to each other, and I was kind of looking around, seeing what everybody was doing.
What'd you end up skiing?
148s, 150s, kind of where I thought. What'd you end up doing? Were you 145s?
Yeah, it was 328, 329, so like 144 ish.
That was feeling okay.
I'll get into it.
Yeah.
When it's my turn.
Yeah. We can go through that, but I'll speed my piece up. Sled push went okay. That run after was fine. Sled push was fine.
Better than mine.
It sure was. How long did yours take? I guess we can do
it was
this.
like 230, 235. Wasn't
Yeah.
great. I was not happy with it.
How was it feeling?
That's kind of where mentally I just let some negative thoughts get into my head. But
did you think it was did it feel heavy?
I wouldn't say it felt heavy. I just wasn't able to move it like I wanted to move it.
Yeah.
And then the fact that everyone else seemed to be moving it well definitely affected me. So
because Dylan was rolling with it. I was 231, which I was like 210 the week before. So it didn't feel easy. It felt like a normal sled.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Felt like
a good way to put it. Yeah.
And then came out of there, and then you were just ahead of me. And then I think I came out with Nick and this other dude who was rolling hard, Will Martin, who was part of a doubles team. His I think doubles partner and life partner, Meg Matten. They're from Australia. They got they were the winner of the doubles. I think they had the best mixed doubles time at Worlds. So this is like the first time they're going individual. So he was like hammering. He was hitting this sled real
Nick was
hard.
ripping too, dude.
He was hitting
Nick
it hard
was rolling.
too. And so he came out basically at the same time. And I did one of those JK surges, hammering out of the sled push. And then coming back in, I was closer to you. Oh no, I still some time. It's like 15 seconds back, but I put 10 seconds on Nick. And then I tried to hit the sled pull as hard as I could. And then I was just I didn't run hard on any run, I must say. I was like, I'm just going to relax. I'm just going to keep it cool. And when I look back at the results, Dylan killed me on every run and every station. So no wonder why he won. And then I was just kind of keeping it cruising. Burpees were just existing. Not bad, not great.
Could you tell that you weren't racing at the level you were a week prior? Or did it
I knew
feel
that
like you were pushing the same and
I knew the
time just
sleds.
didn't like indicate that?
Yeah, the sleds didn't go as well. I might not have been carrying the same kind of momentum, and I didn't really start. I didn't start my watch. I wasn't looking at my watch. I wasn't really checking on what was going on with the runs. So I wasn't as mentally locked in to make sure that the effort and pace was the same, I guess you could say, where I felt like I just wanted to go on feel. I just want to be like, okay, I'm okay. And let's just try to like execute to the best of my ability and make sure that I'm getting through all these stations well. And I was like, if Dylan comes back, he comes back. And then when I sat next to him on the rower, I think he had like 200 meters on me. I was like, ah, I was like, I don't know if he's going to come back with that. But he rose fast. He was like 145, 146, and I'm closer to 149, 150. And farmers were fine, lunges were fine. 3-0 lunges were 3-0 on lunges, which was good. And then farmers was 120 something, 130 something maybe. Also fine. It was like whatever. Let me look. Yeah, I've ever got 129. So everything's like a little bit slower than it was the week
Mhm.
before. Like literally everything's just like a little bit slower across the board. But then I got the wall balls and I was like,
This is
I'm
the
not
part I
dropping
know
this
about.
thing. This is the only part that matters. It's the only part that anybody knows about this race. I was like, man, you had a great race. Like, I had like a good station, but a great race. I don't know about that. Uh, yeah, and that was a goal coming in.
First time, huh?
First time getting it done,
Congrats,
unbroken.
dude. That's big
Thank you.
time.
Yeah, it's a good, definitely a good motivator, a good confidence builder. And
How did
just
it
like
feel? Did you get to a point where you just like thought about putting it down or you were just committed
I was
the whole
just there.
time?
I was just in it and it wasn't hurting. Like I didn't like the week before I felt some shoulder fatigue. I didn't feel that. I was just like, I'm going. And Dylan was dropping the ball and I knew
Right.
it. And I was
Right.
like,
So you're
oh,
kind of
let's go. Yeah.
gaining momentum.
Big
Yeah.
time steam. And I was just like riding high on it. And I was like, all right, let's just get this thing done. And like have that tip. And it got to, I tried to tell myself with 20 left. Like I've told you how I break it down into like 100 meters on the track. Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So when I
Yep.
get to 80, I'm like, all right, 200 meters left. Like always can finish this. It's not a problem. And I was able to. And yeah, that was cool.
Sick, dude.
Almost got
And
him.
almost took the dub, dude.
That would have been
I mean,
great.
and that right there shows you that if you can weaponize wall balls, it can it has the potential to bring you back from the dead,
Mhm,
in a race that maybe isn't going well. You can make up a minute on
mhm.
that one alone. Like it's starting to, it used to be the sleds and now it's like, all right, who can do the wall balls the best? That's the spot now where you can kind of gain the most time over people who maybe are just holding on for dear life.
So Dylan was saying he was telling himself he's like, I need 35 wall balls to be safe. And I came in and started and as he hit 35. He had a rough one. His wall balls were
It wasn't great.
440.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so his race, he was pressing pretty hard. Could you feel him pressing in the first? Like it looked like he was like
Yeah.
trying to get ahead of
Yeah. Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so he was
Yeah.
racing from the very start of it. So
Yeah.
I think he like dumped everything out. So I mean, maybe he conserves a little bit because he shouldn't be doing 440, you know, especially if he did 303 on the lunges.
He's never been great at the wall balls,
No, he's not
but
great, but he should be like
440
four.
is not,
Not,
because
he should be
realistically,
like
it was probably what? It was probably like a 420, 425 with, the the timing mats and whatnot.
true,
So it's
true.
not like wasn't horrendous.
But like he shouldn't be, yeah, he shouldn't be much slower than 420. Let me see what he was in. But anyway, so that was cool. That was a nice little
Kind of a
confidence
great way to
builder.
just like complete back-to-back race weekends, man. End it with
Exactly.
100 unbroken wall balls.
Exactly. So that felt really really great, and to almost be able to come away with a win it was really cool. And the time is fine, and that's all I needed to do. Like I should be good on the site now for Vegas and
Oh yeah.
for Glasgow. Like this time isn't faster than my current DC time, but when my DC time falls off, this is like 4 or 5 seconds slower. So we're in a good spot, man. So overall, yeah, it was interesting coming into a race without a lot of pressure and then still coming out feeling like I had some wins in where it wasn't like a complete race. But my strength was there. I felt comfortable on the runs, and I could have done more for sure. But I just didn't really want to. I just didn't really have that like race in me until like the very end.
Yeah.
I was not a killer during this thing. I tried as hard as I could on the sled, push and pull. And then after that, it was like just kind of making sure I was like, okay, is what I would say. So, man, we're in a good
Nice,
spot.
dude. Yeah.
We got, I think, 9 weeks now to Vegas or so.
Yeah. That
So
sounds about right.
got a little block. So and one thing that I really like to do, especially after these races, is kind of like sit down and reflect and think about. And I just naturally, and I know you do this too, naturally start to think about what's next in training, right? And for the past like probably about the past 4 weeks, including the 2-week racing, I just have not allowed myself to look beyond these races to start thinking about training again. It's like, no, you just need to do what you just need to like stay focused on what you have to do coming up. Trust the training that you did in the past, because I feel like if I start to look ahead, I'm like, oh, next time I'll do this, this, and this. It's like, am I actually like sabotaging my training before it?
Right.
Like, so I just didn't even think about that. So I had some time to think about what I want to do next, which is just like the fun part of the process. Take this week to kind of chill, enjoy Thanksgiving. I'm going to be baking up a storm. We're going to do, have you ever had like like a hoagie with like turkey and cranberry sauce and like stuffing on it?
Not hoagie style.
Not hoagie style. Do you have Wawa?
Yeah, we have Wawas, baby.
Let's go. That's PA representing. They after get a gobbler from there.
Okay.
And that's what we're gonna do for our Thanksgiving. So I'm gonna bake up some bread. We have Thanksgiving hoagies. Philly style.
You guys having friends over or anything? Family?
No, we're just hanging.
Okay.
We're just hanging. Yeah, we decided not to travel just because we had these 2 race weekends, just like a lot. And again, I'm still like sick. This was time of the year last year, the exact time of year where you came over and just were like spitting in my eyeballs, taking all your germs and just delivering them directly to me.
That's right.
Knocked me out for like 2 weeks.
That's crazy that's been a year.
It's been a year. Yeah. Deca Worlds
That's
will
wild.
be in 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Yeah, man. So overall, I feel really solid. I mean, it couldn't have gone any better. It couldn't have gone any better. Did I forgot to mention our Nick Bear video came out.
Yeah, it did.
Our Nick Bear video came out on Saturday. You can check out The Boys with Nick Bear down in Austin. It was really cool. He showed us the morning run, the workout they did in the afternoon, which was really fun. I mean, the production that they put into their content is
top
unmatched. It's unmatched. It's so good.
Yeah.
So it was cool that came out that day, and being able to see Nick out on the course. He had a lot of fans.
Let's talk about his race real quick.
Totally. So it was cool. Like he had there. I don't know if you noticed, but there are people like wearing like BPN hats and shirts and stuff. It was like people coming to
They were lined up, dude.
It's great, man. It's like coming to an event to support your favorite athlete, which I think in our sport right now, it's like people who do the events will hang around and support. They're maybe not coming to see like maybe their favorite tennis player or whatever, how that would happen, or they're not going there for a specific person. But this is the first time that made me think that way. It's like, man, what if there's like jerseys in the crowd? Like people like out there really supporting.
I've been saying this for a while, dude. We need some jerseys, dude.
Some merch,
some unis, some athlete unis.
They tried to do that for CrossFit. They were selling jerseys for games athletes. Like Noble had something like that. But yeah, I think that'd be cool. I don't know how many would sell.
Real cool.
Probably
more than you think.
Amy would buy one.
Yeah, right. Our wives.
My mom and dad would grab some. And I'd probably have to buy them for people. Like, here you go. So
but
yeah,
it seemed like he said he was gonna let it rip, and he went for it, man.
Yeah.
And kind of ended up falling into the trap that I think all of us have fallen into at some point or another in a HYROX, with maybe overextending early on and then paying for it in some areas of the race. It was weird, like looking at his splits and seeing he did a 5-minute burpee broad jump, and then kind of got at that point you would think that the race is over for him, but he kind of got right back into running after that and continued on. It wasn't like the wheels completely fell off.
No,
Like he
like
was
it was hard for honestly, and because of the workout that we did with him, there was a point that I figured there would be some challenges between sled pull and burpee broad jumps, but he can row so well. He's like strong on the lunges. He can do wall balls, and his lunge split was the second fastest, right?
looked
And
like
his vol
he struggled a little bit on the row because it was
yeah, it looks like
420.
it looks like he probably was taking his time, but he like was able to he got off and ran a 3:52,
Yeah,
so he was just like
exactly. Right.
recovering, and his
Right.
volume's big enough that he can handle the duration of this race, but just that intensity from push pull burpees and the runs in there too. Like, you see people who have these races and then that falls off it falls apart there, and then it continues to get worse and worse and worse,
Mhm.
and he didn't do that.
Right.
He gathered himself, he rallied and finished as hard as he could, so, uh, pretty solid, and
Mhm.
65, I think, the expectations on him that other people put on him for sure and that he puts on himself, right? I understand, like, that this would be like, "Oh, this isn't that good," but it's not bad, right, for
It's
a
not
debut?
far off of what we've all done, like, when we first start and a matter of fact, it's better.
It's better. We were
It's
67.
better. Yeah.
We were 67 when we started, so, but it was cool, like, hearing people cheer for him because I wasn't near him a lot. He was getting a lot more cheers than I was getting out there. That's for sure. But, yeah, you could tell the crowd was behind him, and it's just like the people were really, rooting for him, and he just has, like, a really good, strong community of people
Definitely, man.
that do like
Yeah.
what he's doing because
Yeah.
he's doing cool stuff. He's doing cool stuff.
And hopefully he takes our advice and comes back and does another one because we told him that usually it's hard to nail your first race and usually you can make big improvements on your second attempt even if your fitness doesn't change just off of some race strategy things. So hopefully we'll see him back in the HYROX arena sooner than later cuz it was pretty cool seeing him in the corral with all the dudes, man, like
Yeah,
about to throw down. It was like, this is sick, man.
he's
It was
part of
really
it.
cool.
Yeah, I think right now, I'm pretty sure he's doing Houston solo. Um, and if you just adjust some of these splits a little bit, right? Like give back 10 or 15 seconds on like the second run, on the third run, give back 10 seconds on the skier. I think we'll
Mhm.
see a minute at least on the burpee broad jumps. He should have 90 seconds there. He should have like 40 seconds on, or at least 20 seconds on his row. Like the wall balls, he has a minute. Like I think he could be right around 60 with his fitness like tomorrow.
I agree with that.
If he just like adjusts some things.
Mhm.
But he said he skied 145, which is fast, which is fast. But I mean, he said he's big, he said he's strong on the ergs. It's just like it's just too early.
Yeah.
And he was pushing hard and he's 232 push. And I think the pull kind of slowed down because we were 330s, put about a minute on him there. And then and I think it was like, oh boy. Let's try to survive this thing. Yeah, the
Right.
run after, yeah. But I was happy he was out, man. And
Yeah.
he does things for real. It's cool seeing the BPN squad out there too.
Yep.
All right.
Save the worst for last?
Yeah. Good news first, bad news last. Everybody be all right. We haven't really talked. We haven't talked much. I
No,
mean,
I was yeah.
and I could tell
You got
you
in
weren't
you got
interested.
in and I was kind of, ready to go to bed pretty
You
much.
watching Christmas movies.
Was I did I
Forced
have one on? I
No,
didn't
yeah,
have one on.
no, you wanted to though. I know you did want to have one on. But yeah, I could tell you weren't really feeling like talking about it. It didn't seem like you were super bummed out, but you weren't like, I don't know. I was like, all right, we'll talk later.
I
So this
mean,
is
I
really the
think
first time we talked.
I was still trying to sort out how I felt about it, because it was still so fresh. Like I didn't know whether or not to be upset, angry, disappointed. Like and I'm to be honest, I'm still kind of sorting through all that
Yeah.
stuff. But I guess let's start with the good. And the good is that this all still means something to me, right? Like the way that the last couple races had gone, I was a little bit worried that I just like lost that fire a little bit to compete. And the way I was like revved up for this race showed me that I do still care about this. So from that standpoint, it's kind of a relief, knowing that this still does mean something to me. So I can take that away from it. And the next thing would be that, whether or not this race went well or if it went poorly, come Monday morning, I was going to have to get back up and get back to work get ready for Vegas. So whether it went good or whether it went bad, like I had to get back to work this week and start preparing for Vegas, because in the reality of this situation is that race didn't really mean anything at all for me, other than just kind of like, I wanted to be like, I'm back, baby. Like, what happened last year was last year, and this is a new season and I'm ready to go. And unfortunately it didn't go well, but again, that race didn't mean anything one way or the other. Okay. So I don't put too much stock into it. At least that's what I'm telling myself.
Okay.
And the third is that I know I'm fit. That doesn't change because this race didn't go well. Like I have done things in training over the last couple of months that like match any other training block that I've ever done, where I've gone and, run 55s or 56s. Like I'm right there where I've always been. It's just, some things are off upstairs. And I'm just not, the reality is I'm just like, this is kind of where we move into the negative, is I'm just not a mentally strong athlete right now. And this is something that I probably wouldn't feel comfortable talking about earlier in my career, because I would fear people would judge me or maybe lose sponsors. But I'm dealing with something that, and I'm not going to get emotional. But it's pretty serious. Like I'm dealing with something that I can't say it's race anxiety is kind of how I uh, describe it. I've never really dealt with anxiety, and even just like on a day-to-day life kind of thing. Never really experienced that kind of stuff. But I got to be honest with you, ever since my dad passed, I've kind of developed this anxiety where I worry a lot about things, like even to the point where if Sarah goes to the grocery store with Basin, she has to call me when she gets there to let me know that she got there safe. And I think a lot of this is revolved around losing my dad and fearing that I might lose someone else close to me. So I have to do these like check-ins if if Sarah's out and about running errands, like she always has to like check in with me multiple times throughout the day to let me know she's okay. So I've become this like, I just like worry all the time about things and losing someone else very close to me. And unfortunately, that has kind of bled into my career and job now too, to where if things are not going the way that I want them to go in the race, I let a negative thought completely spiral out of control. So now I'm not only fighting the effort of the race, I'm fighting myself. And it feels like sometimes like someone is like stepping on my chest while I'm trying to put out this like big, humongous effort. And it's like impossible. It's impossible to deal with. And that is honestly, that's what happened in Dallas, man. And like the way that I was before that race, like, dude, you saw me, dude. I was sweating in
You're
the
ready to
room.
roll. You were fired up.
My teeth were like shaking as if it
You're like
was
shattering.
20
Yeah.
degrees, 20 degrees in the hotel room. It was like I was cold. And I was just like so juiced up. And then during my warm up, I felt great. But then I started thinking like, wait, what if I'm not ready? Like,
Mm.
what if I can't do this? Like, And then that doubt starts to creep in, even though, like, dude, you're fucking ready. Like, you're
Right.
ready to do this. And, like, I feel like I did a good job before the race, like, kind of blocking that out when that would creep in. I just, like, would let that thought come in and then, like, let it remove. Like, don't dwell on it. Like, it wouldn't stay in my brain for too long. And so we get to the start, and again, I'm still, like, ready to go. I'm feeling good. And I decided that I was going to be the one who set the tone on the race. Like, I wanted to get out, and I wanted you guys to either come with me. You got to make the decision. You come with me, or you're going to get left behind. Like, I wanted everyone to kind of have to make that decision. So I went out pretty hard, but I got to be honest with you, that first run, it felt like I was floating. Like, I didn't feel the effort that I was pushing. Like, so I'm starting to think, oh man, like, today's going to be a good day, right? Like, I feel like I'm running fast and it feels effortless. So I roll with it. I get into ski, and I knew Dylan was kind of like sitting on me, but I wasn't really stressing it. And, I get into ski, and I knew that I said to myself, 145s, just chill at 145s. That's what you're going to be able to come out of this and be able to run. And I start pulling, and immediately I'm down at like 140, 141 for the first like 100,
Mhm.
100 meters or so. And in that moment, I say, all right, what am I going to do here? Am I going to like commit to this pace because it feels easier than normal? Or should I back off to the pace that I said that I was going to pull? So I just kind of eased off of it, and kind of, after that first 100 meters, I settled in between like 144 and 146, like the rest of the way. And my overall split on this ski, not counting transition, was like 328, 329. So like ended up averaging 144 per 500, and came out of that again. My heart rate came down on the ski, even though that was probably one of my better skis that I've ever done. I was just like feeling really, really good. So I come out on that next run, and probably, I don't know, maybe 400 meters into the run, Dylan comes up on me, and we both kind of look at one another and say, like, we're feeling good today, dude. Like, this
Oh
is
yeah, you guys
this is
were out
gonna
about the same time. Looks like
yeah,
about 1 second different.
yep. And we both kind of exchange words, and like, yeah, dude, we feel good. Let's roll. Let's keep going. And Dylan kind of like extended, he pulled away from me for a few seconds, but I wasn't worried at this moment in time. I was not worried, because at this point, I had already felt in control of the race. I'm like, I've got a gap on everyone. Dylan's right here, but if I just chill on this run, I'm going to be able to attack this sled push. I'm going to create myself a little bit of cushion. And then on that run going into sled pull, if he gains on me a little bit, that's fine, because I'm going to be able to extend my lead again on pull.
Mhm.
So I'm already kind of like planning ahead on how things are going to go, rather than staying present
Right.
in the moment
Right.
of like what's happening right now. So I get into push, and again, I'm feeling fine, but then I start pushing, and I would say it's not moving the way that like I anticipated it moving, and ended up stopping before Dylan stopped. Like,
Mhm.
I think Dylan went all the way down, and I went maybe 2/3 and stopped. And some of that was strategic, but it was kind of like, okay, like, the first length down isn't great, but like, I'm usually pretty good about like not losing pace throughout the sled push. Like, I can maintain the same, like, I guess you could just say, like, time duration from like one side to the next on all four lengths. It's not like I push it really fast the first one and then the last three are super slow. Pretty consistent. So like, just stick to the plan. Like, it's fine, it's fine. And then I get down and back, and like, it's not really closing the way that I wanted it to. And now I'm like, okay, on the third length down, I kind of pushed it. That was my hardest one that I pushed, was the third length of the carpet, to kind of make up for some of the time that maybe I wasn't able to gain on the first two. So I overextended a little bit on the third length of the sled. And then still just kind of like Dylan was just like right there with me. And then coming out of push, we were pretty much tied again, came in together, came out together.
Yep.
And
1
that's
second.
like not what I wanted. I wanted to have at least 10 to 15 seconds on Dylan coming out of the push. And then on that next run, again, I'd already been thinking ahead. This is going to be the run where I chill so that I can attack the sled pull. That's just the way that I had it built up in my brain. And now I'm all of a sudden on the defense. I'm not on the offense anymore. I felt like this is where it kind of all just started going backwards for me. I started, honestly, like everything, I let one negative thought turn into two, and now I'm starting to worry about everything. And I'm like, oh no, now I'm like, oh God, there's people watching me like fall apart now. Like, um, you know, sponsors are gonna see me. Like it's like the whole world's crumbling now at this point. And now this is where like the anxiety like really kicked in, because I'm not even I literally went from feeling amazing, like $1,000,000, to feeling like someone was like standing on top of my chest. So then I get into pull, and I'm still trying. I'm like trying to stay positive. I'm like, I can out pull everyone here. There's no one here that can do this sled pull faster than me if I'm like having my day. And I could tell within just like the first couple pulls that I wasn't pulling any better than Dylan was. You were kind of like gaining on me a little bit. And so everything's starting to stack on top of each other. And honestly, in that moment, I let the thought of dropping out creep into my head. That thought hadn't creeped into my head until sled pull. But then once it did, the seed was fucking planted at that point. So coming
So
out
real
on
quick
that,
with the thought of a dropout, right? Which is, again, something that it feels like those are thoughts that you're fighting as well in these past couple of months, right? It's like that is a thought that comes in, and then like you have to kind of deal with it. Like, what are you hoping for it to accomplish? Like, are you hoping it just like stops all of the anxiety that's on you right now, or just like stop the physical feeling of it all?
I think it's both. It's definitely both. Yep.
Okay.
So we're on that next run, and I knew that that was already like the beginning of the end. And I pulled out before burpee broad jumps at Worlds, so I at least wanted to go one step further than that. And I kind of knew going into burpee broad jumps that I was done after this station. Like I was gonna finish burpee broad jumps, and that was gonna be the end of my day. And that's exactly what happened. I got done with burpee broad jumps, kind of ran through the rock zone. I wasn't that far behind you. I think we ended up burpeeing pretty close.
Yeah, yeah.
It
You were
wasn't
closer to me than
great.
I was to Dylan. Yeah, I think I was 240 something. I think maybe it looks like I maybe put a couple of seconds on you, but not like a ton.
And right when I got back out to the out arch, and there was a door open to the outside right there. And I walked across the course and went outside the door, sat there for probably about 2 minutes to just be like, gather my shit. Like, okay, that happened. Let's get the fuck out of here now. And I hate that, I feel like I had to do that, but I went back I went on the course, and I went the opposite direction, like going towards the traffic coming to me. I stayed on the outside, but went around by where, kind of going back towards where the start was.
Yep.
And I could see people could see me, obviously not on the course, going the opposite direction, like jogging. And I could feel like everyone looking at me, like, what is this dude doing? And like, that's just like it's not a fun feeling, dude. You know, like, not that I think anyone was necessarily like judging me or whatever, but you feel a little bit embarrassed, I guess, is the only way to describe it. So you just like don't even want to like talk to anyone because you're just like not proud of the decision that you just made.
Mhm.
So I went and grabbed my bag and jetted out of there and walked back to our room while the race was still going on. And again, it's like not something I'm like necessarily proud of, but in that moment it felt like the thing that I like needed to do for myself. And I'll live to fight another day. You know, like this isn't something that's going to, as much as I want it to be something that I'm able to just snap my finger and be like, "Oh, I'm back, like everything's fixed and back to normal." Like this is just something that's going to take time, you know? It's still the same. You want to use a car reference. This is still the same car. I've got the same engine inside of me. It's just it feels like sometimes someone else is driving it.
Mm.
And I've just gotta get myself back. And to be honest with you, I'm like looking forward to the challenge of doing this. You know, like it's not like I feel discouraged by all of this. You know, like this is something I've never had to deal with in my entire life. You know, I've been racing since I was 4 years old, and I've never dealt with race anxiety. I've had sponsors for over a decade. You know, like I've had high expectations on me my entire life when it comes to performing on an athletic level. It's not the pressure of everything. That stuff honestly doesn't bother me at all. It's it's all stuff that I'm building up like in my own head. And you know, fortunately I have some really caring and just caring people who have my best interests in mind. You know, I've already had uh, someone reach out to me and say that you know they have somebody that I could talk to about this and see if we can get to the root of it, because the fitness is there, man. Like it's not a physical thing. And you know, it feels weird for me to talk about being like not mentally strong or mentally tough, you know, because a lot of the times I feel like I've pride myself on being that way for much of my life. But um this is just like a new chapter and a new challenge that I'm going to have to face. And I said it in my Instagram post before the race. Like I'm not going to hide from this. I'm not going to hide from adversity. I'm not going to run from my failures, man. Like this is part of my story. And if I can find a way to overcome this and get myself back, then maybe it gives anyone else who's in the same position dealing with these same type of feelings the hope that they can overcome it as well. You know, and this is, again, this is new to me. This is new territory, and I'm trying to navigate it the best that I can. And I just want to say that I'm like super appreciative of the community for all the love and support, man. Like through all of this, it's been a rough year. I haven't had a good race since really Chicago 1 year ago.
Yeah.
It's been one calendar year since I've really felt like myself, and we're gonna get it back. We're gonna get it back. It's just gonna take some time. But again, I'm really looking forward to the challenge of this. And you know, maybe I need to. It sucks that like my next race is gonna be a major, but like maybe I just need to worry. Maybe the first step is just finishing a race, right? Like maybe I just go out slower than I normally go and hope that I feel a little bit better. And just like, hey, like today's goal is like finish. We're just gonna finish the race. And if it takes you 59 minutes, it takes you 59 minutes, and then we can start working off of that rather than just like going out and trying to pick back up where I left off.
Right. Right.
So, hey, this is where we're at, man. And you know, it's Monday and I'm getting back to work, dude. Like that's just all I know how to do is keep moving forward.
Yeah, and those are the things that come to mind for me, right? And I guess it like hearing you talk, like I said, we didn't talk before about, how the race was going for everyone else around you and not being like, I'm like, and if your goal was to just finish, but it wasn't for this race. It was like,
Right.
let's go out and prove that I'm still this guy out here. um, so yeah, I guess that was the question I would have. Like, what kind of steps then? I know it's still early, you're still trying to work it out all in your head because after Worlds, it just kind of it seemed like it was like, all right, we're just gonna have more time. Things will get better with time and just continue to focus on training and doing the things that you love. And like you're fit, right? And like let the fitness take care of itself. But yeah, it doesn't seem like that was quite the recipe.
Yeah. I made a few on the flight home. I made a few training adjustments for the next 2 months leading into Vegas. I think I need I'm not someone who really advocates for doing race sims a ton, but with where I'm currently at, I think I need to, rather than like doing workouts that are they're really just like HYROX building workouts. They're not just like HYROX. You're not doing a HYROX race or a HYROX sim in your training. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
you're doing
Right.
these other workouts that help improve your performance, but you're not actually doing the race. I think I have to do more race sim type
Mm.
workouts to just kind of build up some mental calluses, you know, and mental toughness, and just getting a better feel for the race, because it kind of feels like I've lost the feel for the race too. Like I don't really know how to race it right now.
Mhm.
So doing some more real true specific um workouts, I think, are going to benefit me.
You gonna try to hop in some other races? I know there's no races. I mean, unless you did Anaheim, which is like just
No,
2
yeah.
weeks, but like what about like a half marathon
Right.
or something like that? I mean, your volume's
No.
high enough.
Yeah.
Your
No,
volume's high
yeah,
enough to
I
go out and
could.
hit something like that.
But again, that wouldn't give me the confidence that I need, because it's not a direct correlation to like how I would do in
Mm.
like a HYROX competition.
Mhm.
So even if that's like, hey, you know, next week I'm going to do a HYROX race all the way through burpee broad jumps. And then 2 weeks after that, I'm going to do a HYROX race all the way through row.
Mm.
And then
Just
2
like a
weeks
simple
after that,
progression.
I'm going to do
Yeah.
a HYROX race all the way through farmer's carry. Just this like, yeah, like a little bit of a progression or so. But um, yeah, we have work to do. We got things to work on. And if it doesn't go the way that I want it to go in Vegas, even though I do feel optimistic that I can turn this thing around, um, I'll have another shot in Glasgow. And then
You
if
have season left. Yeah.
I got the last chance qualifier. It's like, this isn't going to be this fairy tale season, and I'm gonna have to work for it. And if that's one thing that you know I learned from my dad, is just like, if you just keep working hard, like, good things are gonna happen. You know, like, it's not gonna get better if I just stop and give up. Like, that's not gonna fix anything. Head down, back to work, and like, we'll find our way through this. The only way out is through.
And then, yeah, like where that work needs to be positioned, right? Because the physical work is the physical work. You're always going to be able to do that, right? And just doing the things that now are becoming more clear to you and figuring out which is going to be the challenge for you,
Yeah.
right? Because this is new. There is no guidebook for it. It's not something we've practiced for years and years. Where the physical is, and the physical is like that's no problem. But like the rest is going to be the challenge for sure. And that's what's going to be really interesting for your journey is like what you've learned over the course of this period, because like there's no doubt you're going to come through it and the message you're going to be able to share, but it's like how's it going to
Right.
happen? It's just
Right.
like not clear. It's like no
And
direct line.
I hate to do this, but honestly, man, if there's anyone listening to this podcast that maybe is a sports therapist or a sports psychologist, or anyone willing to you know, I'm not always one to take help or ask for help, but here we are. And if anyone listening could provide any sort of clarity for me and wants to do that, I'm open ears, man. Like I'm ready to listen, you know? And even Sarah was like, if you don't want to go see someone, I'll read books and like study it myself and, you know, try to teach you myself. So I have a lot of people who are behind me and really do care about me. And at the end of the day, that's pretty cool. And one thing I do want to say is that, or the last thing I want to say is, for most of my athletic career, I have needed racing and not just racing, but winning to feel this sense of like self fulfillment.
Mhm.
And a lot of that is because I was on my own for much of my career. It was just me. And, you know, I wouldn't say I lost, but I lost touch with friends over the years. I've lost touch with family members because I was so self-absorbed in this pursuit that I felt like I needed to just like be on this like isolated island just so I could focus on what I needed to do. And, you know, now that I do have a wife and a son, those things that I was once searching for to get from a race, I get that every day. I get it.
Right.
I feel fulfilled whether or not a race goes well or not, you know? Like yesterday I played out in the front yard. I played soccer with Basin for like 2 hours. And like that filled my cup. That filled my cup. Whereas like in the past, the only way to fill my cup was to go out there and fucking win this race. I know that sounds terrible, but that was what it was for me for so long. But now that I'm a husband and I'm a father, about to be, you know, have 2 kids coming, it's like once what racing was, it's like it's not what it's no longer what it once was. And that doesn't mean that it's, again, I started this whole thing with saying that this does still mean something to me, and it does mean something to me because I want to be a good example for my kids, you know, especially now. Like, hey, what are we going to do when things get tough? You're just going to quit, keep moving forward? What are we going to do? So I want to be a good example for them, but all those things that I was racing for most of my career, it seems like I'm like racing for something different, or it's just, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's like I just like don't feel like I need to win to feel some type of way,
Right.
you know?
And
So,
that's where that type of fuel for racing is. It's super strong, right? Because I've been there too, where it's like I just need to win so that I can feel good about myself, right? Because this is like the value I bring, and that's like not. It's so just internal and like not true. And then when that becomes either not possible or if it changes, then it's like, oh, wait, what am I actually? What am
mhm,
I actually out here doing? Like, do I
right.
love this? Is this something that I want to keep doing? Is this something that like how is this going to shift? So yeah, that's another piece that is going to be part of this process for you for sure. Is like going to the race and not having that like killer instinct to, because it's like it has like these high stakes, because they're not that high stakes, you know?
Right.
They're really not
Yeah.
that much. There's really not that much on the line here. You know, we can build it up. You know, it's good for our career. It's good for our lives for sure. But like, there's impact that we have and things that we can provide that are more than just race results.
Mhm.
You know, so I feel you on that, man. It's gonna be a journey.
It is.
It's gonna be a journey. I'm gonna be here for you. So I'm be
Appreciate it,
excited to
dude.
see how it rolls through. Um, yeah, I don't know. Any last punctuations you want to put on it?
No. No. Well, great venue though, man. I love that venue in Dallas, you
Yeah,
know? And
they changed it from last year. Where it's the same venue but a different hall, and it was
yeah, yeah.
much better, bigger, could accommodate more. It was still crowded out there, man. That was
Definitely crowded, man. That was cool on the first run, how that dude had the whistle and he was leading me out,
oh,
clearing the inside
I
lane.
didn't even see that. No,
Oh,
I was chilling. I was hanging back.
yeah.
with a whistle.
It was cool in there, and that's another thing. That's I've never dealt with. In Nice, it was so hot that now when if the venue's warm, that thought creeps into my head again. That like, oh no, it's hot. Like things are gonna go poorly, and like this race isn't gonna go well. So like the venue being cool kind of set the tone that like, hey, it's gonna be a good day. But had it been the other way, that would have been one thing where I let a negative thought just kind of like spiral out. So I got to get a hold of that, man. Got to get a hold of that
for sure. Yeah, the heat. It felt a little warmer, more humid. I think that's why the sleds weren't moving as well as they were in Chicago. The flow of the course was not great compared to Chicago. Like if they would have flipped the run course and had it going clockwise, the flow would have been much better because we didn't have to hit that hairpin coming out of the
rock zone.
Rock zone. I guess it would have been a hairpin the other direction but it was like less zones. And like where the water table was in between the in and the out on the rock zone, kind of in the middle of where everything kind of converged. So there's a bunch of people there, and it was like narrow. It was like tight. So toward the back of the race where people were getting water a lot, it was like you kind of had to like go slow through that area because it was just crowded. It was a crowded course. I think it was probably 2 minutes slower than Chicago. And not saying that this was a slow course. I think Chicago was just a fast course. So this course probably ran pretty typical.
When I saw Dylan's time, like, in my room, I pulled it up real quick when I got back. I was like, what did they run? I was a little bit shocked that it was as slow as it was. I was like, damn, I was like, man, I don't think I would have broken 60 today.
Would have been close. Would have been close. Our guy Hayden Warner taking third overall.
Dude, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Man, he's just the man. So that was great to see him. He came out to one of our retreats that we had in the summer. This is his second HYROX in 2 weeks, and it's his first 2 times doing pro. And he ran 60 minutes last week, ran 62 this week, finishing on the podium. And he was top on his podium this time, and I think he was top on his podium. I forget. He's been on the podium for the first 2 times. Someone to watch. He was just the man.
I will say, small group. We just completed a big 3-month block for myself, Rich, and Meg. With we each had like individual small groups preparing for these fall races, and I think a good amount of people within those groups are going to be staying on. And we would really, I would like to invite some more people to come into my small group. Really looking for maybe about 5 or 6 guys, probably sub 75. If you're under 75 minutes for a HYROX and you're looking to make some massive improvements and are interested in something like that, reach out to me. We'll get you into the small group. It's been fun, man. Like the bond that we've all kind of created over these last 3 months of training. Been really cool, man. Been really cool.
And the results
kind of gives you something like bigger than yourself out there.
Totally. The community aspect is huge. I can speak for my group in particular. Like everyone was rallying for each other. So happy for the results. Most people are running PRs.
Everyone's out there crushing PRs except the coach. Coach Kent struggling, but all the athletes.
Coach Ryan's got you. Don't worry about it. I'll pick up the slack. Our Myra McGinley out in APAC won the APAC Open Championship. She was part of my group. Rachel O'Connor was second in the APAC Championship. She is part of Meg's group. So yeah, things are just going well. So and Kent, you want Open and Pro sub 75, or what is that? How's that kind of look?
I'll take either, dude. I would love some. Right now we have the last group was about 10 guys, around 75 minutes for Open. But I would love to work with someone who is trying to, get down sub 70 in the pro. I would love to work with somebody like that. So it doesn't have to be Open. If you want to be pro.
Maybe if you're 120 pro, 115 Open, that would be about pretty similar for men. And that's kind of where the group's at. Yeah, I'm not sure what my groups are looking like. We'll probably expand a little bit, but we'll keep you posted on that. What else? ESN? Have that.
ESN.
Drink that. That's it.
That's it.
So we'll see you in Vegas. Vegas, baby.
Me?
And then we'll
You
see
talking about me?
everybody. We'll see everybody. That's right. I'm not going anywhere. I had the option to do Anaheim, and man, I'm happy I don't have to go to that. I'll be in
You
Vegas.
set yourself up nicely.
The fall went
Now it's
well.
time to go. Let's go punch that ticket.
Yeah, man. Let's get that done because Scotland will be fun, but if I don't have to go there, I won't go there either. Cool. So we'll see everybody out in Vegas. Great seeing the community the past 2 weeks. It's been incredibly fun. Love the support. Appreciate everybody who's listening. Appreciate the people who consume the content and who have our back. Everybody who's been doing the programs. We appreciate that you're out there putting in the work and then showing up on race day. Thank you for that. And I think that's it. All right.
See you next
Talk
week.
to you guys later.
Peace.